Let's talk about quitting nicotine. It's a real struggle, right? But what if the problem isn't about willpower? What if it's all about strategy? In this explainer, we're going to completely reframe how you think about quitting. We're going to treat the e-cigarette not as some kind of habit, but as a specific tool to get you to one single goal: zero nicotine. So let's dive in.
You know the feeling. You try to cut down, you give it your all, and then somehow you end up right back where you started. It's so easy to blame yourself, to feel like you just don't have what it takes. But what if it's not you? What if the real problem is just the game plan itself?
The single biggest reason people fail, it all comes down to one word: instability. Think about it. Your brain has gotten used to a very specific level of nicotine. So if your delivery method is all over the map, or if the strength you're using is just plain wrong, your body basically goes into panic mode. That struggle you feel, that's the feeling of instability. That is the real enemy here.
So our goal is not to just grit our teeth and suffer. The goal is to create a smooth, predictable, stable off-ramp. You can think of your brain's nicotine receptors as all these little landing pads. We want to slowly and gently close them down one by one in a way your brain barely even notices. This is a controlled descent, not a crash landing.
So let's get into it. Where do most people go wrong right from the start? Well, it's kind of counterintuitive. You'd think, hey, I want to quit, so I should start with the lowest nicotine strength possible. Makes sense, right? Wrong. That's actually a trap, and I'm going to show you exactly why. There's this thing called compensatory behavior. It's not a choice, it's biology. When you start with a nicotine level that's too low, your brain freaks out and sends this emergency signal for more. So what happens? You start puffing more often. You inhale a little deeper, all without even realizing it. It's not you failing, it's your brain trying to get what it needs. And this kicks off a really nasty downward spiral. You start too low, so your brain makes you puff harder, and you end up inhaling way more aerosol. This can actually increase your exposure to other stuff like carbonyls, which can be created when things get too hot. So you're trying to do the right thing, but you're actually making your body work harder and maybe even increasing your risk. Okay, so how do you find the right starting strength for you? This table is your guide. It's pretty simple. Just match your old smoking habit to the recommendations here. Now, you'll probably notice the numbers for nicotine salts are a lot higher. Why? Because salts deliver nicotine way more efficiently, so you need a higher concentration to match that feeling from a cigarette. Find your spot on this chart. That is your foundation. That's where you build your stable platform.
And that brings us to the single most important rule of this whole process. I really want you to let this sink in. Stabilize first, then reduce. You have to build that solid, stable foundation before you can even think about taking any bricks away. If you try to do both at the same time, the whole thing is just going to crumble.
All right, now that you know your starting strength, we gotta choose the right tool. Are we talking Freebase nicotine or nicotine salts? And believe me, this isn't just about what tastes better. They work totally differently inside your body, and we can actually use those differences to our advantage to build that stable path down to zero. So here's the main difference you need to know. Nicotine salts hit you fast, like a rocket. That fast delivery is amazing for helping people get off cigarettes. Freebase, on the other hand, is much more of a slow, steady climb. And that slower, more gradual delivery, well, that's exactly what makes it perfect for tapering down. It helps your brain break that cycle of needing an instant reward. So, with that in mind, here's the actual game plan. Step 1, use nicotine salts right when you transition from smoking. Get off the cigarettes and find that stability. Step 2, once you're feeling stable and comfortable, you switch over to Freebase. This starts training your brain to get used to a slower delivery. And then, step 3, you just gradually reduce that Freebase strength all the way down to zero. See? It's like a 3-stage rocket to getting free. Okay, you have your strategy. Now we need to make sure you have the right tools for the job. Because the device you use, and just as importantly, the quality of your e-liquid, they're absolutely crucial. Remember, we're trying to create a predictable, stable system, and that means we gotta pay attention to the details. Now this might go against everything you've ever seen in a vape shop. We are not chasing huge clouds here. For this strategy, we want a simple, low-power device. Think of it like a car. We're looking for a reliable, fuel-efficient sedan, not a souped-up drag racer. Using low power with a higher resistance coil gives you a super consistent, predictable dose every single time. And that is exactly what we need for a smooth taper. And safety, well, safety is completely non-negotiable. There are 3 key things you've got to look for. First, make sure the ingredients are pharmaceutical grade. That's a fancy way of saying they're pure enough to be used in actual medicine. This means fewer contaminants right from the start.
Second, you want a liquid that was made in a certified clean room. This is a sterile, controlled environment. It stops any dust, microbes, or other gunk from getting into the product while it's being mixed and bottled. And third, and this might be the most important one of all, the company absolutely must provide third-party lab results. This is where an independent lab checks their work. It's the ultimate proof that what's on the label is exactly what's in the bottle. So what you're looking for is something called a Certificate of Analysis, or SCOA. This is your proof. It's a report card for your liquid. It shows you that the nicotine strength is accurate and that it's been tested for and is free of nasty stuff, like heavy metals or harmful flavor compounds like diketones. And always, always make sure the batch number on that report matches the one on your bottle. This is how you know you're getting a safe, stable product you can trust. Okay, so you have the strategy, you've got the right tools, and you have the safety checklist, you are ready. So now, let's just talk about the common traps that trip so many other people up and exactly how you're going to just sidestep them.
It really boils down to 5 common mistakes. Just 5 little things that can completely derail your progress. 5 ways that people accidentally choose intensity when they really needed stability, and they end up right back where they began. Here they are, the top 5. Number 1. Starting too low. We know exactly why that triggers that downward spiral now, right? 2. Switching to a high-power device that just destroys the stability we're trying to build. 3. Staying on those fast-acting nicotine salts for way too long, which just keeps reinforcing that need for a quick hit. 4. Not listening to your body when it's telling you something's off. And finally, number 5. Using undocumented products where you have no idea if they're safe or if the nicotine level's even accurate. You are now equipped to avoid every single one of these. So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this simple idea. Choose stability over intensity. A gradual, predictable, stable path is what gives your body and your brain the time they need to adapt and let go. It's all about working with your biology, not fighting against it. So stop thinking of this as a fight. You're not a soldier going into battle. You're more like an architect. Your job is to design and build a smooth, stable path for yourself to walk down all the way to 0. So, knowing all this, what's your first step?